Honestly, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of an intro for this, but I don't really have one. But I've had some friends ask me some questions regarding like clothing recommendations and like purchasing decisions and help in that process. And I've been trying to contribute a little more to those daily question threads on r/male fashion advice. And so I figured, why not make a little video series and where I answer my friends' questions and some of the ones I see on those posts in that forum. And even if they're answered, if I have a different opinion, I feel like it's worth sharing. And so, yeah, hope you enjoy. So the first question has to do with a pretty popular topic being white sneakers. And so the common questions I've gotten are, what are my brand recommendations for different price points? And so I'll just go from like $1 sign to like $3 signs. And so for those of you who are trying to get your first pair of white sneakers and kind of venture into that space, I would recommend something from Adidas, either being, if you want more of a cleaner silhouette, you have their very famous Stan Smith. And then one that's been trending a lot more, so while it's not exactly like a full white sneaker, it's kind of more related to that German army trainer vibe, is the Adidas Samba, which is gaining a lot of popularity on TikTok and social media these days. And then from there, I would say the upper bound of that $1 sign would be the Nike Kill Shots. Again, kind of similar to that Adidas Samba vibe. It's not a full like white sneaker. It has like a blue swoosh, or green or red, depending on which model you get, and it features a gum sole, which I personally think I personally really like because it's different, and yeah, it's an incredibly popular and also memed on shoe, but for good reason. It's really easy to match things with. It's incredibly versatile. And so that would be kind of like my 3 recommendations for that first dollar price point. And so looking at that $2 sign, it's more of that 100 to that maybe like 250 upper bound range. And so this is where I would recommend, let's see, the first brand would be Beckett Simonen. Not sure exactly how to pronounce the brand name, but they have been around for a bit now. I remember when they were first gaining traction, it was interesting because they had great styles at great price points, but the interesting thing for them was that there was a bit of a lead time with their shoes and their products. You would place your order, but you might not receive the shoes for, I wanted to say like 4 to 6 months even. I think there might have been a longer lead time when they first started out, and I'm not sure what it is like now, if they're all like in stock and ready to ship out in less than a week. But that's a brand where they have their Reeds sneaker, which is, I think, a great minimal white sneaker that, if it weren't for the potential lead time, would probably be my go-to recommendation. Another popular choice is Greats, but this one's a little interesting. That was my recommendation and the one that my friend ultimately got. But then right after, there's this interesting post on r/male fashion advice about how people have noticed that maybe the quality has gone down on Greats. And so I'm a bit sad to hear if that's true, but it seems like the person I recommended it to, their spouse is enjoying the shoes, and so I still recommend them for that price point because I think they offer, or at least they used to offer, like good construction, good quality. It was a little chunkier of a silhouette, but I think it's trending a bit, right? With what the New Balance 550s and just New Balance in general. I feel like it's you get more of a pass wearing those chunkier sneakers, and so along with those two, let's see, I'm trying to think. There's anything else in that $2 sign category. Maybe on the upper bound, people recommend Koyo, but I think their retail is closer to that $300 mark, like past the $250 mark. And so this might just be a good time to get into the $3 sign area territory. And with it, my recommendations, you hear this one a lot from me or from those on the internet. You got Common Projects, the Achilles Low. It's a very, I don't know, is it to the point where I can call it infamous? It is a very famous shoe. They are my personal favorites because I think they have the cleanest silhouette and they're very easy to take care of. And I feel like although the price has increased over the years, I feel like the construction quality is still good enough. And of course, I would always recommend to buy any of these products on sale. I got mine personally for, I believe, around like that $260, $270 mark, which I think it's a fair price, or at least if you were to look at like an average over time, that would be like the lower end of the pricing for the Achilles Low. Yeah, and besides that, yeah, you also got Koyo, which I mentioned before, which is in that like on sale Achilles Low price range. But for that, yeah, I think those are my usual go-tos, unless you want to venture into, I mean, still like related to the white sneaker, the German Army trainer side, or if you want something chunkier. But these are all a little bit more on the slimmer side of sneakers. Even though I mentioned how greats are a little chunky, I think it's still so valid. Yeah, so that was the first question that I do get pretty often. So I'm hoping that this could be a good frame of reference for people as they're venturing in that side of fashion. So the second question I've gotten recently is regarding a present for either groomsmen or even the groom himself. What would you recommend? I would say the under $200 mark is what a lot of people have been mentioning to me. And yeah, there's a ton of options, but if you're gonna stick within that like clothing fashion realm, let's see, for this particular groom that I was asked to help kind of figure out a gift for, he really loves just like comfortable clothing, doesn't really wear like business casual or formal wear pretty often. And so a couple of my recommendations involve maybe something from Reigning Champ or Lululemon or Outdoor Voices. I think all three brands encompass just very comfortable yet stylish clothing that are pretty good quality as well. I personally really enjoyed some of the crop pants from Outdoor Voices that my partner got me, and Lululemon, of course. I mean, everyone's heard of them. I love their shorts, love the ABC, was it pants, and then one of them's like a jogger. They make great clothing as well for that price point. And then you got Reigning Champ, which I don't think not too many people have heard of. They are a popular Canadian brand that has very nice, let's say, fleece, terry, cotton clothing. We're talking like the quintessential gray sweatpants or sweatshirt or jacket. They're a very popular option for those looking to kind of go beyond maybe like their regular Champion sweats or their Nike kind of gym equipment or gym attire, I'd say. And so yeah, I started there, but then he kind of posed me with a question. His friend asked me, what would be maybe like a good, like some starter pieces for those looking to like get more into like style or kind of improving their wardrobe. And so one of my common recommendations this season has been even just specifically like this shirt. I got this at one of my favorite stores in Austin, Stag Provisions, and this is the Alex Mill camp collar cotton linen shirt. And so, I mean, camp collar shirts, not sure if you've heard of them. They also go by, I think, the Cuban collar. It's where, let's see, it's a lot more open, and you see like kind of this bigger collar to it. And I think it just embodies like the summer, and for that reason, I think it's become really popular. It looks good, and most of the time, these shirts are incredibly breathable and comfortable to wear, which is why we've seen them trending for the past couple of years. And so yeah, this one from Alex Mill wasn't too expensive. I think it barely was over $100, which yes, it's not cheap, but I think for the price, I would recommend it over certain maybe like big brands or like mall brands like Banana Republic or J. Crew and what they have to offer. Yeah, and so that's one choice. And so it's those are kind of popular choices. Maybe you can get them one of the shoes I mentioned, one of the white sneakers I mentioned before. But those have been some of my favorite brands recently in terms of just like pieces that I find myself wearing often. And I know people talk about like watches and different things like that, but I'm mostly talking about just clothing. And if it is someone who's looking to get more business casual outfits, as maybe they're this particular groomsman or this friend is transitioning into a new role. A lot of changes happening in their lives. My go-to recommendations for business casual clothing have been Spire McKay, a brand based in Canada that has great dress shirts and trousers for a pretty fair price. And as well as, Charles Turwood is a common one for dress shirts. Do a little cut there. So the last brand I was talking about is one, by Kamakura, based in Japan. I would say they are kind of like maybe at the Brooks Brothers price point of dress shirts, maybe even cheaper if you on good sales. I guess you could say the same thing about Brooks Brothers, but I've really enjoyed my shirts from them, and I think they could easily be just a staple to your business casual uniform. I know there's a ton of options, but this is one that I'll probably update as what different trends pop up. But there's nothing wrong with getting some folks just a wide range of clothing depending on what their style interests point to. And finally, the last question was pretty interesting. I got this one yesterday from my friend who's trying to expand his wardrobe. He talked about how what these days online shopping is super convenient. I buy most of my clothing online, but he raised an interesting point and question about when is it worth it, and how much do you value shopping in store in terms of getting to go and try a particular piece out and be more confident of the sizing because you're able to feel the clothing or the piece present physically. And that was a great question. And so I definitely have bought clothes in store because of that very reason. I'd say I can't put a specific dollar amount to it, but how I answered that question to him was I've gotten to the point where I do a lot of research and thinking before I buy any piece these days. But once I'm confident, in my research, I look up different maybe brands for a piece. Let's say for camp color shirts, I'm aware of different shirts at different price points, starting maybe at like $75 all the way to $300. Would be maybe my upper bound budget I set for myself if a particular shirt has an incredible design or materials, or there's a nice story to how it's made, like the craftsmanship. And so from there, I go out and look up on Reddit or different forums about particular sales trends or histories for that brand, and to see if they do go on sale here and there, what retailers carry them. And I take that information with me, and then I set somewhat of a mental price point for myself. And whenever that item reaches that price, I buy, and I go for it. And so here comes like the physical store argument or approach. I still do all those things I mentioned before, but when I go to Stack Provisions or I go to By George, and I see a particular piece, I try it on. If I don't like the fit, as I wear it, even with tailoring, if I'm not happy with the fit, it's an instant no, of course. But if it fits well, then I think I look at the price tag and I do that mental calculation of those and think about like the different competitors and the potential prices of those. And although I don't know the feeling, that's when I just have to make a decision. Is it near the price point that I kind of set in mind? How is it above or below? How close is it to it? And from there, you just got to make that decision of whether or not it's worth it for you to make that purchase. But definitely there are moments where I love shopping in stores because I get to feel the material, get to try the piece on, and it is valuable having that experience and being able to be confident in the fit of a piece physically. And so I think those are all the questions I had for today. These first three were from friends, but for those days I don't get a lot, or like those weeks I might not get a lot of like conversations regarding clothing from friends, and I'll probably look to Reddit and see what's going on there. I do have a couple saved, and you'll probably see them in the next episode. Appreciate you checking this out. Let me know. As always, I love your feedback on what you think, and I'm excited to make the next one. See ya.